Let's begin. So we're going to paint a countryside scene. The first thing we're going to do is the sky. So the sky is going to be about this big. I'll just show you my previous painting. So this is going to be the sky, then the grass, and then we're going to do the mountain and this line of hedges and trees, and then a big tree in the middle. So the first thing is to wet the sky area. So it's not perfect, there's still little dry bits, and that's okay. There we go. Then I'm going to get my red, alizarin crimson. It's a little bit dirty, but there we go. Add water, becomes cleaner. And what I'm going to do is this bit here is going to be white, just this bit. So I'm going to just do a soft wash. Coming down here and going up a little, like that. And if it's drying at the bottom, wash your brush, then dry it, and then here just go across and soften that, because you don't want a hard edge. So the next thing is a purple mix for the sky. So I've got some alizarin crimson, then some of my phthalo blue, mix that up. So we're just playing around with this until we get the mix we like. So I think that's okay. Yeah, that looks good. Now all I'm doing here is I'm going to add a little bit here, maybe a tiny bit here, and a big blob here. So 1, 2, 3. Like that. And then I'm going to do a much and I might possibly do at the bottom just a tiny bit coming up like that. And then I'm going to do an even stronger mix. So get my blue, get my red. That's a very strong mix. Let's test it. Yeah. That will do. So just a little there, a little there, 1, 2, and then here just one more bit. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Now a technique you might like to practice is this. If you get a tissue and you fold it again, and fold it again and again, and you get this corner, then you can do a little white line like that. At the moment the paint's a bit too wet, so I have to let it dry a little bit more. Here I'm getting a hard edge, so just quickly I'm going to wipe that and soften it. Normally I'd use the brush, but no time. Okay, so let's try again. So I'm going to use the corner of this tissue. And that's looking very nice. Now the tissue soon gets dirty and you have to use another corner. and you want to make it as thin as possible because it can soon look very, very thick white line. But I still think it looks good. I mean, look at that, it's very pretty. I didn't think tissue was very good for making clouds, but I persevered, and I found out that it works wonderfully actually, and it's quite good fun too. Actually, it's a lot of fun. So there we go, and that's enough. So let's leave that to dry. Now let's do the field. So I've got some alizarin crimson and a touch of blue in there, and really you should test this on some scrap paper, but I haven't got any near me at the moment, so I'll just risk it, but that's okay. Maybe a touch stronger. There we go. And you want this kind of dry brush effect, like little bits, little highlights in the grass. And I'll just soften the top. So I wash my brush, dry it, and then I just wipe across the top like that. The sky has now dried, so no problem there. Okay, now as I come down here, I want to change the mix and make it a little bit more purple. So at the bottom it's going to be very purple like this, and this is drying out very quickly, so I'm going to spray it in a minute. So sometimes the brush goes up and down because there's too much white and I want to get rid of some of it, but it's really important to leave a little. Okay, let's spray, and hopefully the spray will add some texture to the grass. Yep. Some of this dried a bit too quickly. This is naughty, but I'm going to just go over that again. You shouldn't really do that, but I do cheat a bit. And then let's spray. So I'm not spraying directly, I'm spraying above the paper and across, so it's kind of dropping onto the paper. Now the next thing is to get my my liner brush, and I want to get some phthalo blue, some alizarin crimson. This is quite a thick mix, and I'll just spray this one more time because it's drying super quick. And in the distance we're just going to have a line like that, just suggesting shadows. But as this comes down, as you come down, these lines are going to get thicker. It's giving a feeling of perspective. So I'm just going up and down with the brush. Now it's very easy to get carried away with this and to do too much, and I need to spray it again. Now you might find this very difficult, and I have to admit I've spent a lot of effort trying to do this, and so it does take a while before you can get good at this, I think. I had a bit of excess water here, so you need to remove that, else it will just explode outwards and you'll get a cauliflower. Okay. Yeah, and you need these to be a bit irregular, so in some places they come down a bit more and in other places not coming down so far, so this variety is really important. You don't want them looking like rectangular bricks, because we're trying to indicate grass and you normally get this uneven pattern. So maybe that will do, and spray, and then finally I'm going to wet this and dry, and then I'm going to do some white lines like that, and at the moment I can't see anything, so it's probably too wet. Let's try this area a little. Oh yeah, you see it there? Really beautiful marks. So although it takes some time to get good at this, doing this, it is a lot of fun, and with patience and practice it will happen. Oh, and you can see now it's dried a little, and it's actually now at that perfect moment where we're getting these beautiful marks now. I've probably done too many lines, but it happens. You just get carried away. It's that fun. Okay, there we go. Ah, that actually looks very nice. I wasn't sure, but I'm quite happy with it. One more spray, so I'm hoping that we get these little speckles across the paper, which will make it feel more like grass. So please have a go. Already this is looking amazing. I'm very happy about that. I'm a little surprised. It worked out better than I thought. Now we're going to paint a mountain in the distance, and we're going to paint a low mountain. Now you could do the mountain just pure blue, because it is going to be in the distance, and if you water it down it might look quite good, but it also might look a bit too blue and a little bit unnatural. So some people like that, and sometimes I like it, but this time I think I'm going to just add a little bit of red to my blue, or a bit of a purple mix, and just to make it not too overly blue. And it's going to be low, so I'm just figuring out the basic shape. So it's going to be about this high across. Yeah, that's perfect. It's not too strong, it's not too blue. I love it. And then just let's give it a bit of a bottom. Now that's fine. I wash my brush and then dab it. I'm going to just go under this. I'm not even touching it yet. Well, just a little. And now I'm touching the paint. Maybe one more time, just softening that, because normally the bottoms of mountains you do get this this fainter appearance. They tend to look fainter, and it works well in paintings. There we go, beautiful. Let's leave that to dry. So now I'm going to paint this line here of hedges, trees and a house. So most important thing is the positioning. So I want the house to be here and my tree is going to be here, but perhaps the tree should be a little bit smaller and a bit more this way, I think, and a little, perhaps a little lower down. So I'm going to move my house further along. Now, because the house is the most difficult object, I will paint that first. And this is going to be quite a thick mix. And to be honest, actually I should probably paint the line of this hedge. So don't make it too strong, or the line of this fence. So it's going to begin about here, it's going to come down about this far, I think. So this doesn't have to be too strong, but maybe I need to do this as like a guideline. And I can always wipe out bits of it, make it a bit fainter. So I brought this a bit further down than in my other painting. So here we go. Let's begin to paint now then. So first of all, I'm going to do this house. And the first thing I want to do is get my mix right. So I think this mix is okay. Maybe I want it a bit thicker. Yeah, maybe that will do. Maybe not. Okay, there we go. Maybe that's fine. So my tree is going to be here, so in the foreground. So my house needs to be about here. Now this is basically just an inverted V shape, so think of it in a very simple way. And there's going to be a bit of perspective, but not too much. So it's going to get a tiny bit smaller, but not too much. And then straight away I want to get into doing my hedges, or bushes. So I'm going to scrunch up the brush like this, and then I'm going to do that. You see how that works? Give me that rough edge. Soon the hairs all come together, so I have to keep doing it, and that works pretty well. And here I don't want the bottom of this cottage to be a nice line. I want to give it a little bit of a rough bottom. And then I'm going to get my liner brush, and I'm going to do a line across here and a line going down. Yep, it's a bit tricky this. And then just to make that stronger, that roof line here, I'm going to do another hedge, or another bush, sorry. There we go, like that. And hopefully they don't look too similar. The roof isn't quite right, so I think I've mostly corrected it. It's not brilliant, but good enough. That's good enough. Okay, so next I want to add another bush here, and it's really important to try and get this rough edge, this rough feeling, and then maybe I'm going to have another one here, and the spacing needs to be irregular. If they're all evenly spaced, then it's really going to look bad. And then so this is a little bit fainter. There we go. That's quite good. I might just spray it just to keep it workable. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. Apart from this didn't work out perfectly, but this is the tricky bit, doing this cottage, because it's a regular shape. With the bushes, because they're irregular, you can get away with making a mistake with them. And I'm also going to do a little tree here. Now maybe I should have had a bit more of a gap in it, but I didn't. But there you go. There's one or two little gaps there, which is a godsend. It really helps. And that's enough. You want to be careful not to do too much. And now we're moving on to doing a fence. And I've got some splatter here, and sometimes I don't worry about that, but I'll wipe it up today. And let's have a look. Now I've decided that this fence is going to be like one of those with rope attached to posts. I've decided on that. It could have been just a pure wooden one, but you decide. And as I do these posts, I'm trying to think about perspective and making them a bit smaller and a bit closer together. They don't have to be perfect. But there needs to be some little kind of suggestion that there's a fence there. And I think that's pretty good. I'm not very happy with this. So what you can do, I mean, it's okay, and I could wipe it out if I wanted to. But I could also do like some kind of tree here. So it will reinforce this roof, make it stick out more. There we go, like that. Maybe have this come a bit further over, like that. That will do. I might want to put just, if possible, a line through there. Okay, and that's it, finished. I'll let that dry and then I'll wipe this mountain out and we'll have a lovely white roof. Okay. Now we're going to wipe out this paint here so we get a lovely white roof. So basically I wet my brush, clean it, dab it on the rag, and then just rub over the paper. And I'm being careful not to go here, but just to stay in this roof area. Now when you do this technique, you're really going to learn how good or how tough your watercolor paper is. As you can see, there's already little bits here with this paper. So this is actually pretty good watercolor paper for the price it has, but it's not the best. The better your watercolor paper, then the stronger it will be when you do this rubbing out technique. But still, that's good enough. And this really is quite cheap paper, and if you look at that, that looks good now, and I could wipe those little bits off. What you are actually doing is damaging the surface of the paper. What we can also do using the same technique is make some windows. So I've got my little liner brush here. I think this is dry, fingers crossed. And I'm just doing a line down for the window. Just a little window at the side of the house. And you can see it. I hope you can see this on the camera. And if I just wipe it now, ta-da, it's quite fun. You can probably get carried away doing this. And I'm going to do one more. In reality, the windows would probably be super dark, but we can pretend that somebody's in this house and the light's on, and so what we're seeing is the lights in the house. And you saw me there use the tissue, and we didn't really get a strong effect. So what you do is you repeat the process. And sometimes you have to do quite a few times until you really manage to lift off the paper. You lift the paint off the paper. It's beginning to come. Okay, let's press down. Yeah, there we go. So this window is a little bit higher than these two, even with the effect of perspective, which we're not going to get a lot of anyway. But it's fine, it's pretty good. And we could do a door if we wanted to, but I prefer just to leave it like that. Okay, now we're going to do the tree here. So I have to think about my light part, which is going to be the top part. This, which is going to be warmer, and the shadow area, which is going to be cooler. Now this isn't actually too bad a tree, but I'm not sure if that's too red. So I might do it a little bit more muted than that. We'll see. So first of all, I'm getting my red, and that is definitely too red. And yeah, I quite like that. And the paint is slightly thick, and I like that because I'm going to scrunch the brush hairs into that, and when I paint it on here, because it's not too wet, it will hopefully give me a really rough texture. But first I have to think about how high will this be. So I'm going to make it about here, not too high, one bit here, one bit here, and then it's going to come down to about here, and then we're going to have a shadow and a small shadow. So it's very important to work out the size of your tree before you paint it, and do your best to stick to that. Okay, so here we go. I'm a bit nervous. That's not bad. See those lovely white gaps? That's what I was hoping for. And then down here a little bit more. You can see how I'm scrunching up the hairs or splaying them. I don't want to go too much over here because watercolor is transparent and you're going to see through this if I go there. And I'm just quickly going to spray this. That gives me a bit more time, and I want to make this tree come down here a little bit more. I don't want it too tall. So the next thing is to get my liner, and then I'm going to get a darker mix. So lots of blue, too much, some red, maybe that's not bad, and then I'm just going to go under here. And it's not blending enough, so I'm going to spray it. It's drying out too quickly. So that's looking good. And maybe I might do just a little bit of shadow there and a little bit there. Yeah, that looks good. I can see that now as a three-dimensional object. And then I'm going to have my trunk coming up, and it's going to be about here. Now I like to do two trunks, two fairly big trunks, because I think that's easier to paint. It looks more natural. It just looks better. And then we've got these trunks coming up here. They're becoming branches. And there we go. I might just do a little bit more red here. And maybe here too. Just a little bit. Possibly here. But don't want to make it too complicated, especially in this lesson. I want to keep it really simple. And then I want to think about shadow. Now I haven't really done much of a shadow here, so I probably should have done. So maybe we should imagine the sun still being quite high in the sky and the shadows are not that long. So we have to think maybe about this far. Well, sorry, about this long, maybe about this long. So it really is a short shadow. And then this is the top of the tree, and it comes out about here. And if you don't like something, just wipe it out, or if you're desperate, use your fingernail. Yeah, that actually works, and I can blend this a little just a little by using my finger, but you do get marks sometimes like that. Let's have a look. Okay, you have to keep using a different finger because you're picking up paint. And as for this mark here, it's actually not such a problem, but if you wanted, you can just wet it and then just dab and it's gone. So you can correct things in watercolor. And there we go, it's finished. I'm so surprised. I really didn't think it would work out this well. And of course, with your liner brush, if you like, you can add maybe some birds. So here we go, use the thin. Your brush is like a blade. There's like a wide side and a thin side. So when you do these birds, make sure you're using this thin knife edge of your liner brush. There we go, one bird, two birds. Okay, let's make it a trinity. We've got our three birds there, and there we go, a very nice looking picture. Please have a go.